Hi, and welcome to the April 2025 Microsoft Product Licensing Terms update from the SAM team here at version 1. Hi, Neve. Hi, William. How are you doing today?
Good, thank
Hey
you.
Carl,
Yeah.
good thanks.
Great. So this month there's quite a number of changes in this month's terms. Lots of movement of terms and terminology within the product terms. So William, I'll kick off with you. Anything interesting on your side?
Yeah, so there's three little bits I want to cover. So the first one's the Microsoft Enterprise AI Services Code of Conduct, which came into effect in February, which we spoke about for the February product term updates. But so it's now been updated to apply to all AI services, and it basically replaces there's a whole load of different separate codes for generative AI services, AI vision, face APIs, and speech as well. So they've brought that all under one banner, Enterprise AI Services Code of Conduct. And it really just it's in addition to the product terms, but it also includes the acceptable use policy and covers things like responsible use of AI, usage restrictions, content requirements, and limited access services, which essentially through a paywall. So it just brings that all under one hat. It also changed the privacy and security terms for Microsoft 365 Copilot for Sales, which is essentially the Dynamics 365 Copilot add-on that's been brought into the core online services privacy and security terms. And briefly, just a product retirement, which is Dynamics 365 fraud protection that was no longer made available to purchase from the 3rd February. But now they've said that the support will end in February 2026 officially for that. So those are the three updates I've got.
Very good. So sticking with all things retirements, so this month within Microsoft 365, we saw that Microsoft removed Enter Permissions Management, Viva Live Topics, and Security Access Essentials from the Availability and Prerequisite table. So that is in line with those retirements which were signposted quite some time ago. Also within the world of Microsoft 365, we saw frontline worker licenses added to the product specific or product conditions that details all the various different frontline worker options and their relevant terms of services, which link back to the universal service terms within the product terms. Also, within the universal license terms, should I say, for online services, frontline worker rights have moved to the universal terms in a new section in the glossary titled Frontline Worker License. But I suppose when looking at frontline worker licenses, I suppose also really important that although there's no change in it this month, that organizations are familiar with the eligibility to assign frontline worker licenses, because sometimes there can be some ambiguity around what that looks like. So again, if you're looking at all these changes to frontline workers licenses or movements of them within the product terms, do familiarize yourself with the eligibility, and that anyone who uses the SKU should have a screen size. I think it is under 10.9 inches, I think is the current guidance from Microsoft. And also, if using those licenses, they need to use them on a machine that they share with another frontline worker licensed user across shifts. Now, there are some scenarios where organizations will negotiate potential concessions with Microsoft around those terms if they're of a certain scale and size. So always good to be familiar with those eligibility terms as well. And then I also looked at Microsoft 365 Disaster Recovery Plus, or DRP as it's also known, which was launched in March of 2025. So as you can guess, that's now included within the availability tables. And for those who aren't familiar, DRP is it's a premium add-on for Windows 365 Enterprise, and it's effectively designed to provide like a higher performance disaster recovery for cloud PCs. Also within the Windows 365 terms this month, we saw that Microsoft states that users with a Windows Cloud PC OS devices may also use Windows 365 Frontline as well. So they were the three key updates that I looked at, which leaves us with Neve. Anything interesting on your side, Neve?
Well, related, I guess, is the launch of the Windows 10 ESU for cloud managed SKUs. And in essence, like that's like a 25% discount for customers that are using any of the Microsoft cloud services, such as Intune and AutoPatch, versus on-prem ESU activation methods such as System Center or WSUS. So I guess like from the value terms, and just to reiterate that with Windows 10 going end of end of extended support in October 2025. So an ESU, Windows 10 ESU will cost you €61 in year one, and then that's dollars in year one, and then that's $46 if you are eligible for the cloud ESU activation, and effectively that doubles then in year two. So and then triples, I guess, doubles again, sorry, in final year three. And we shouldn't forget to mention that when Windows 10 goes end of life in October, Microsoft will provide ESUs free of charge if you've got Windows 10 Azure Virtual Desktops, or you have Windows 10 endpoints connecting to a Windows 365 PC. And also good to hear that consumer or Windows 10 home users will be able to license Windows 10 ESU for $30 for 1 year so far. So that was that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for those who aren't aware, ESUs are extended security updates, and they're always done licensed on a subscription basis, but almost sometimes feels like a Microsoft tax for users who continue to use those legacy versions of the software.
Correct. And then just on to audio services. So Microsoft said that they updated a link to a Learn document for messaging policy. And at the time of this recording, the SMS team messaging policy link referred to in the product terms brings you to a 404 content not found page. So that was really helpful, and it's kind of surprising because we're so far into the month and yet this hasn't been corrected. So maybe I might write a strongly worded email to Microsoft after this. So then on to kind of professional services and the updated professional services terms. And Microsoft updated the availability section, just adding that customers can contact Microsoft for the purchase of any additional unified or Premier support services that are not available through volume licensing. And then under the Microsoft support services section, Microsoft removed a subsection on enhanced services and solutions for Premier and unified support. And they also removed a section at the end regarding its support services business rules. So then finally, and relating to what you were talking as well about frontline workers, they included new terms or items in the glossary for frontline worker license and Microsoft AI services. And essentially, like for the frontline worker, it means a license for a Microsoft product designated with an FLW or frontline as identified in the product conditions table of product specific terms, which are subject to the eligibility to assign frontline worker license terms in the universal terms for all online services. And on the Microsoft AI service means an online service or feature thereof that uses artificial intelligence technologies, including any Microsoft generative AI service. And that was it.
Quite a lot. Very good. So as always, if you have any Microsoft related licensing questions or any other vendor licensing questions, please feel free to reach out to us here at the Software Asset Management Practice in version 1. We'd be delighted to help you. So thanks, Niamh. Thanks, William. Until next month's product licensing terms update, we'll chat then. And in the meantime, if you're having a look at this video, do check out the associated blog that we publish each month. Thanks all.
Thank you.